It's great to be in the middle of summer, the heat of the summer. And this summer, obviously, looks very different in a lot of ways. One thing that remains as true now as ever. With the warm weather comes an increased risk of pool injuries and drownings. It's not something pleasant, but it's something we have to consider and talk about. And in fact, because of the unusual nature of this year, a lot of people have installed pools or are installing pools and may not be 100% sure about all of the safeguards you need to take when you do have a pool on your property. Toronto-based personal injury lawyer Jasmine Daya is with us to talk about the ways you have to prevent water-related accidents from happening in the first place and certain measures you have to take. Jasmine Daya, welcome back.
Thank you, Barb. It's always a pleasure chatting with you.
It's great to have you on. Do you have a pool?
I do.
And did you buy with a pool? Did you guys put in the pool?
This is a good question. I'm so happy you asked because I learned a lot through the process. So I bought the house and I'd always wanted a pool and I'd been saving, and finally I said, let's do it. We have this space in this house. So I put the pool in about 8 years ago, and I've been a personal injury lawyer for many years before that. So I've been doing personal injury for 15 years. So I had 7 years of experience before putting that pool in, and I had kids also at the time. And so I wanted the pool, but I had to ensure that it was safe for my family because I am on high alert at all times. All I see is injury when I close my eyes, or even before it's happened, I'm anticipating injury. So putting something in like a pool, I wanted to ensure that we had all the safety measures in place. And let me tell you, putting a pool in is not as easy as just digging a hole and putting a pool in with water. There is a lot of steps that need to be followed, starting with the importance of going through the permit process and ensuring that you have the proper drawings. I can also tell you from experience, not from on the legal side of things, but on the personal side of things, you will always be over budget.
Always.
Whatever you think it's going to cost, like a lot of renovations, it's going to cost a little bit more because you might need new fences, for example, because the bylaw officer is going to come and do an inspection and have a whole list of requirements. So you might need to plant new trees because the arborist report says you're in a tree protection zone, and so that can cause issues. And these are issues, by the way, that I encountered. From a legal perspective, it is required by law that you have the pool fenced. So what do I mean by that? You have your backyard, you have the pool in the backyard, and yes, you have a fence around your property, likely in the city, because that's your neighbor's property and that's your property. You want the dividing line circled off with with your fence. But you need an additional fence that just encloses the pool. And so when you step out into your backyard, years ago, we used to step into a backyard and see a pool right there. Mm-hmm. That is no longer allowed. It must be enclosed with a fence, and it must be locked. The gate to that fence must be locked at all times by law. And a lot of people don't realize that.
Let me ask you, so that's a great point. Can you have a pool in the backyard and the backyard is closed off by a fence that's latched? Or does there have to be an additional fence around the pool?
Exactly. There must be an additional fence around the pool. And even, I told you, I'm a personal injury lawyer. I see injuries all the time. And even when the pool guys are talking to me about this, I'm like, but that's not going to look very pretty. I'm spending so much money on this pool. I'm now going to not be able to look into my backyard and see a clear view of the pool. You're telling me I'm going to see this fence. And they said, yes, it's required.
Okay, so aside from a gate that locks around the pool, Jasmine, what are some of the other things that we need to be aware of in terms of preventing accidents?
So you want to ensure that there are no pool toys around the pool area. That's really important because it can cause trip hazards, but more than that is that it can often lure kids close to the pool. So if they left their favorite toy, their favorite water gun, they might just want to head in that direction. Also, it's really important that you when you're having people over, even if it's not to use the pool, if you're having a dinner party with a lot of people, for example, you want to ensure that there's someone that is looking out for the pool to make sure that if someone falls in, that they can be saved, rescued, someone's paying attention. It's important to recognize that even some adults don't know how to swim. Asking your guests, do you know how to swim? Or what is your level? What is your skill level, your ability? Very important. If you are having a pool party, it's important that you hire a lifeguard or ensure that everyone knows how to swim. And there's a lot of young people that would love a summer job, and hiring lifeguards for a couple of hours, not as expensive as one might think. Yeah, having a flotation device nearby so you can throw a ring in just in case someone needs some help. Also, you want to monitor alcohol and drug consumption of your guests. If someone has consumed alcohol, if they're intoxicated, if they either decide to swim or fall into the pool, a huge hazard with drowning. Drowning is a problem, but there's also a lot of non-fatal injuries that can occur with pools. A traumatic brain injury, spinal cord injury that could result in paralysis, slip and fall issues due to the wet pool deck. And one thing you might want to consider is having signage indicating the depth, which is the shallow end, which is the deep end, how many feet you've got. These are not expensive measures, but very good safety measures. There's a lot of viral videos out there right now of individuals doing crazy things, jumping off the roof and into the pool. And a lot of kids watch this. You want to make sure the kids are never alone, ever. It doesn't matter what their skill level is, because sometimes they don't use the best judgment and want to keep our kids safe.
Yeah, it's a great point, especially about leaving kids alone, not to run in for a drink or to check your cell phone. You really have to be vigilant when there are kids in the pool. Absolutely. All right. Great information. And Jasmine Daya, thank you so much for doing this. Great to have you back on with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. Jasmine Daya, personal injury lawyer. You are listening.